Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Tim's News Explosion. Today is Monday, the 1st of November 2021, where the southeastern block of Australia has reopened to domestic and international travel. There's a new map of Australia that is currently in place. If it'll come up on the screen here. Here we go. So us Victorians, those in the ACT and New South Wales are in the Free Republic of Vaxistan, and the rest of Australia currently is Zerotopia. So international flights are now coming and going from Melbourne, Canberra and Sydney, and domestic flights going from Melbourne to Canberra or Sydney there. We're live as always on the Wilmsfront YouTube and DLive channels, as well as on the interactive entropy software. Hello to all the regulars in the chat. I'm just going to put the entropy link there where you can send through a direct question to myself, or even better yet, send through a super chat. It is just after 8:30 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria, where the fallen trees from the great storm on Friday morning, they're still lying around everywhere, including encroaching on the roads. Since we had a much more substantial easing of restrictions coming into effect on 6 p.m. on Friday, which included the outdoor mask mandate, the stupid outdoor mask mandate going, even today, we still see a lot of fallen trees, because I think a lot of Victorians thought, the cleanup can wait. We want to go down to Kmart, the movies, the pub, or go on our Cup long weekend road trip. Now, obviously, when there is free travel throughout the state now, I mentioned that more people are allowed in the pub now. You can catch up with, 30 friends outside for drinks, or you can have 10 visitors to your private home. But it's important to remember, a lot of people haven't driven for a while. If you're quite intoxicated, then it's very dangerous and illegal to drink drive. And I think I warned a lot of people that with all the traffic out on the road, and especially with it being the boozy Cup long weekend, that drink drivers would pose a threat to road safety. And this is what the residents of Power Street in Hawthorn, they came close to being hurt by a drink driver. At 8:55 p.m. on Saturday night, they heard a bang outside of their place, or their street there. So I'll just get this photo. Why is it so slow, the streaming software that I'm doing tonight? Yep, that is a drink driver's write-off car there. It went into the fence of a residential home in Hawthorn. Oh, why is it so slow, this? Here we go, yeah. So that's a drink driver's car that went into a fence, nearly went into the wall of a children's bedroom. Now, who was this irresponsible drink driver? Well, it was a state Liberal MP, Tim Smith, the former Shadow Attorney General. So this was his car that nearly smashed into a residential home. This was his statement. After dinner with friends, I believed I was under the legal limit to drive home, he said. This was not the case. I apologise to my constituents, my colleagues, family, and the people of Victoria. Expect their elected representatives to uphold the high standard of behaviour. Today, I tendered my resignation from the shadow cabinet to the leader of the opposition, which he has accepted. So, Mr. Smith, 38, has been served with an infringement notice and had his licence suspended for 12 months. His position as the member for Kew, the safe Liberal seat, is now under threat. So if we go down here, Andy Lee, the one half of the comedic duo, Hamish and Andy, said that it was his mate's house who Tim Smith smashed into, still waiting for a formal apology. So Matthew Guy said he remained exceedingly angry and disappointed with Mr. Smith's actions and conveyed my thoughts to him in no uncertain terms. So Tim Smith thought that he was okay to drive, even though he blew into a breathalyzer 0.131, which is more than 2.5 times the legal limit there. He was, what is it, too drunk to know that he was over the limit. That's what it sounded like there. The agents confirmed that the plaster on the inside wall of the home had cracked where the car made impact. At the scene, a fence was ripped apart in the crash, and there were tire marks on the nature strip and footpath. Broken auto parts were picked up by interested Hawthorn locals on Sunday afternoon. Neighbours told The Age they heard 2 loud bangs that woke them up. They saw a Jaguar had hit a small vehicle. He was really revving the crap out of it to try to rest away from the wall, a witness who asked not to be identified. He continued to get in and out, move it, spinning the wheels. He was lucky no one was killed. He was lucky he wasn't killed. The car was a complete write-off there. Now, obviously, Tim Smith's irresponsible actions have led to many memes circulated on social media, given that Tim Smith he was one of the loudest critics of dictator Dan Andrews and his pandemic handling, but he also has, as that article alluded to, a lot of enemies within the Liberal Party itself who were probably enjoying those memes as well. It was probably a bipartisan spread of those memes there, and in my opinion, I think his career is over there. I mean, that is just... I know there's other politicians and celebrities who've been caught drink driving, but a lot of them, they've just been picked up a bit over the limit. I mean, the slogan is, even if you're a little bit over, you're still a bloody idiot. They've been picked up at a breathalyzer station, but Tim Smith, he was it 2.5 times and nearly crashed into a house. That is way worse than just being a little bit over and being caught in a random breath test there. So yes, that was one of the unexpected events of the weekend. Now, there was a audio leaked from a Liberal Party Zoom meeting. It was a couple of weeks back with Tim Smith arguing with Bernie Finn MP. Bernie Finn didn't like that the state Liberals had agreed not to amend the gay conversion therapy ban legislation that Dan passed, and so Bernie said that this was a betrayal of our commitments that we've given our constituents to amend it, and Tim Smith got aggro with him, and Bernie Finn called Tim Smith a fucking idiot. Bernie Finn, he is a long-time state Liberal MLC cultural warrior. He coined the term dictator despot Dan before. I think it was Tim Smith who I think made it more mainstream, but it was originally Bernie Finn who came up with the name Despot Dictator Dan, and he posted this on his Facebook page last night, Bernie Finn, but quickly deleted it. The despot tells us we'll be free. Then he rushes into Parliament a bill giving himself total control over almost everything. Victorians' freedom has not been under this sort of threat since World War II. It's time for all of us to fight against. And as you can see, he's published a photoshopped photo with Daniel Andrews as Hitler with a Hitler moustache and the Iron Cross on the uniform with the, Victorian government logo there. But since the Victorian Liberal Party, they support the banning of the display of the swastika. Bernie has covered the swastika with the logo of the ABC there. And of course, this isn't the first time that Bernie has put on his Facebook page something controversial and then deleted it. When the Chinese launched a rocket, he put out a question for the day for the benefit of the humorless left-wing tossers. This is a joke. Where should the Chinese rocket land? A, on Waleed Ali, B, on the ABC, C, on Daniel Andrews, or D, on the Greens, Lydia Thorpe there. So where this came, Bernie's Dan Hitler comparison, it came up in my Facebook feed last night, and I saw it. I'm like, oh no, you didn't, Bernie. Oh, you're gonna trigger so many people that. And well, he did trigger probably the biggest snowflake in Victoria, Devere Abramovich. And I'll see if I can actually read it in Devere's voice. I am angry. This is unacceptable and it must stop. All of it. Yes, Devere Abramovich, he's been constantly triggered over the past few months, claiming that the encroachment on our rights and freedoms in Victoria is nothing like what happened in the early days of Nazi Germany. He thinks that's an abhorrent, despicable comparison, and he gave a quote to the Herald Sun. This was the Herald Sun article: controversial MP Bernie Finn slammed for repulsive Daniel Andrews Nazi tweet. And so it goes further down here. Opposition leader Matthew Guy said he would deal with Bernie in the next 24 hours. As you can appreciate, that gives me a lot to do in the next 24 hours. And Mr. Guy said he hadn't seen the post, but from what I'd heard, it sounds ridiculous. When asked how frustrating it was to be constantly pulled up on the behavior of MPs, Mr. Guy said, I think you can probably see the look of that on my face. And there's another photo of it there. And here's the quote from Devere. Chairman of the Anti-Defamation Commission, Dr. Devere Abramovich, said Mr. Finn should do some soul searching. I shouldn't have to say this, but comparing Premier Daniel Andrews to the monstrous Hitler is indecent and repulsive. I'm fed up with these public figures weaponizing the Holocaust to make a point and to beat down those they disagree with. I have continuously registered my disgust at the manipulation and distortion of the Holocaust for political aims, and this occasion warrants a full-throttled condemnation. While people are certainly entitled to express their views about the proposed pandemic laws by the Victorian government, it is beyond outrageous to compare them to the monstrous laws enacted by Hitler's Third Reich, or to claim that the laws are in any way similar to the final solution that led to the death camps such as Auschwitz, where men, women, and children were gassed to death. Mr. Abramovich said the posting was the ugly and hurtful image. It's time for him to apologize and to stop coercing the debate. Such foolish equations demean the murder of millions of Jews and others and are historically inaccurate and extreme. This image is also spit on the memory of the graves of the brave diggers who fought to defeat the Nazis and inflicting further pain on Holocaust survivors living here. I would urge Mr. Finn to talk to a Holocaust survivor so he can understand how wrong he is. Attorney General Jacqueline Symes slammed Mr. Finn as playing on the fringes of anti-Semitism and right-wing conspiracy. It is unacceptable to use images and references that promote hate and cause pain for so many. there is no place for it in Victoria or in politics. While this government is in the process of banning the public display of the Nazi symbols, Bernie Finn is playing on the fringes of anti-Semitism and a right-wing conspiracy there. But what is it? De Vere, as I mentioned, even though in Victoria there is the proposed Pandemic Management Amendment to the Public Health and Wellbeing Act, which is eerily similar to the Enabling Act of Germany in 1933, even though the Victorian government, in conjunction with the Australian government, is building a quarantine camp out at Mickleham. People had to show their permitted worker papers during the lockdowns, and now everyone has to show their vaccine papers to go about a normal life now that things are reopening. De Vere thinks there is absolutely no parallels between what has happened in Victoria during the pandemic and the early stages of Nazi Germany. And we have
save up to 60% at canningvale.com. Queen sheet sets from $49.99. 6 p.
Damn it, stupid Daily Mail autoplay there. I'll see if I can get this, because we saw a anti-vaccine mandate sole protester on the streets of Melbourne here. If I can get it further down here. Why is it not liking me, these? Here we go here. So he was dressed as this protester as a Auschwitz concentration camp detainee, holding a sign that says "History repeats." And I think it was this was a follower of De Vere who sent it to him. A group of young people berated him for drawing comparisons between his cause and the extermination of millions. I spoke to the witness who filmed this, a Jewish woman in her 50s who has Holocaust survivors in her family. She and a friend approached the man and told him he is an absolute disgrace. Mr. Bramford says witnesses claim Victoria Police watched on as the fracas took place until matters escalated when the woman in her 40s attacked the man. Police then intervened to remove the woman in her 40s. The Jewish woman and her friend were questioned why the police were detaining the woman and not the man, and they were told that he had the right to freedom of speech. Yes, you have the right to free speech, but not to assault somebody exercising their free speech. So Mr. Abramovich issued a statement calling for protesters to stop using this ugly tactics. No, Victoria is not becoming Nazi Germany, and opposing the vaccination mandate and proposed academic laws must stop with their ugly tactic. Nothing in Australia even comes close to the indescribable atrocities carried out on an industrial scale by the Nazis, and to suggest we're on the road to Auschwitz is beyond words and divorced from reality. But De Vere wasn't done with getting his blood pressure up for the weekend. There was this really bizarre event in Brisbane. I haven't got the link here, but I'll bring it up in a moment. So organized when I got to air. To air tonight. I see that there's a super chat over on Entropy from regular super chatter, I Swallow Cum for $3.33, 333. Great impersonating, Tim. Yes, I definitely love I Swallow Cum receiving your super chats there. It's always a very, very, very welcome. Here we go. Here, there's this bizarre incident in Brisbane where a man flew a swastika flag outside an apartment, and which apparently was next to a synagogue. And so the man has been charged with public nuisance, and the LNP Lord Mayor of Brisbane, Adrian Schrinner, has called it sickening for someone to fly this symbol of hatred and genocide right above the Brisbane synagogue on Martin Street. It's pure leave. It's time for this vile flag to be banned in Queensland. And yes, that does seem very bad taste, to say the least, to fly that flag close to a synagogue. But I also find the communist flag, the ISIS flag, and Chinese communist flag also very distasteful and repulsive there. Where do we draw the line about repulsive flags there? But let's go back to Victoria, where it is a very serious situation. While Victorians they feel free again, that what dictator Dan, he's given them back some of the freedoms that he took from them at the beginning of 2020. And as I talked about before, last week it passed the lower house, the pandemic management amendment bill, and there was we'd say flash pop-up protest outside Victoria's Parliament House, where there were thousands there, and it was 100% peaceful because Victoria Police just let the people gather, and there were a number of inspiring speeches there. State MLCs Catherine Cummings and Liberal Democrat David Limbrick spoke. They decided to return to the Parliament so they could, it goes before the upper house in a couple of weeks. They presented their vaccination papers to the Parliament so they can help stop this bill. And so this is my producer, Margot Huss's report here. So she did her own video vlog here. Obviously, all of the regular vloggers were there, such as the Real Rakshan, Topher Field was there, Locked Out Cafe, and the Australian Independent Press Network there. So thank you very much for publishing that report for the Unshackled, Margot. Now, obviously, as I mentioned, a lot of Victorians they think that they've got their freedom back, and many of them were voluntarily took the vaccine. It was at the beginning the COVID vaccines they were voluntary, but over 2021 we've seen the mandates ratcheted up, and obviously Victoria had all authorized essential workers have to take the vaccine to work, and Dan is threatening to have the vaccinated economy, the lockout of the unvaccinated all throughout 2022, which you can do under these permanent pandemic laws. And so the idea of informed consent of the vaccine of taking the vaccine, it's pretty much been shattered in Australia. This is why it was refreshing to see federal Queensland LNP Senator Jared Rennick bring attention to vaccine injuries by people who have been coerced into the vaccine.
Here at my panel, Liberal Senator Jared Rennick from the Labor Party, Murray Watt, thanks both for your time. Jared, to start with, are you watching with this next news conference with an open mind about what the plan is and whether you might back it?
Tom, I'm not worried about 2050 at the moment. What I'm worried about right now is what's happening in 2021, and in particular the adverse events that are happening to young people across the country from vaccines. In the last week, hang on a minute. In the last week, in the last week, I've had a 37-year-old woman who's had a stroke, been told she's got to take a second vaccine and is going to lose her job. I've had a 19-year-old girl who's had severe clots in her legs and her lungs. She's in hospital. She took that Pfizer shot last Thursday night. I've spoken to a 31-year-old man who's been paralysed since early September down his right-hand side. He's got some movement back in his right arm. He has had no income for the last 2 months. He just took out a mortgage before he got that shot. He's been told, the only time he's heard from Queensland Health is that is to be told that he's got to take a second shot. Now, it's bad enough that people don't get a choice to take a vaccine, but it's worse that they're being forced to take a second vaccine after they've had an adverse event and that the government hasn't yet provided them income support while they've been unable to work.
Well, I'm trying to ask about another question, but if this is one you... Okay, sure. All right, well, you posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yes, so Gerald Rennick, for the past week, he's been posting people's vaccine injuries stories from the COVID vaccines on his Facebook page, telling the public these people's stories. And he, on his YouTube channel, it goes for 13 minutes, that Sky News exchange with him and Tom Connell with Labor Senator Murray Watt, passing some smarmy remarks there as well. And also Gerard Rennick, he posted on his YouTube channel, I'll link it in the show notes, his exchange with the TGA, Therapeutic Goods Administration, how they report adverse events and what do they think of the state vaccine mandates. The TGA this week, they received an application from Novavax to get provisional approval of their protein-based vaccine there. The Australian government has already purchased 51 million doses of Novavax. That's the COVID vaccine, which it's been coming for a long time. There are quite a number of people who are waiting for Novavax, who don't want any of the mRNA or the AstraZeneca viral vector and would prefer to take Novavax. And we also have this week, we have the coronavirus rapid antigen tests on sale at Coles. So you can get a 2-pack for $13, so $15 per test, or you can get a 5-pack for $50, $10 per test. What a ripoff! That is so expensive to testibate yourself. How many overtimes you want to So that is very expensive tests there. And now, as I mentioned, Labor Senator Murray Watt, he was not very happy that Gerard Rennick is raising these people's stories. And we had, if I go here, Ariel Bogle from the Australian Strategic Policy Institute posted over the past 7 days on Facebook. 7 posts from Senator Gerard Rennick's page were amongst the most 20 engaged on Facebook using the words vaccination, vaccine, largely sharing stories of people who claim to be having vaccine side effects. And today, Gerard Rennick, he issued an ultimatum to Prime Minister Scott Morrison that he could no longer count on his vote in the Senate unless these demands are met: a fit and a proper compensation scheme for those who have adverse events to vaccines, the right for victims of adverse events to refuse a second vaccination. No person in this country should be forced to lose their job to take a vaccine. We go to page 2 here. Fourth, children do not have to take the vaccine because Pfizer obviously have applied to have their vaccine be administered to 5 to 11-year-olds, and all domestic travel restrictions regarding COVID should be repealed. Now, obviously, Scott Morrison has proven himself a coward when it comes to standing up to the premiers, is not going to do that. Scott Morrison is over in Rome at the moment for the G20 meeting, which is an entree to the Glasgow Climate Summit. And the past 24 hours, there's been our media has once again gone for the cultural cringe, amplifying Emmanuel Macron, the French president's comments that he knows that Scott Morrison's a liar over the dumped submarine deal. Any chance to whack Australia and Scott Morrison? I mean, I do that as well, but these people who are criticising Scott Morrison at the moment and elevating Emmanuel Macron, they're doing it because they're not pro-Australian. They're basically anti-Australian and love to cringe at our nation, where people such as the people watching this program criticise Australia because we want to make Australia great, greater, and great again. Now, the permanent pandemic laws that Dan is ramming through, the Pandemic Management Amendment, that is obviously very alarming. But so is this other bill that is going through the Victorian Parliament, another counter-extremism bill. This was published back in September by 7 News. A new program designed to tackle the root cause of violent extremism and radicalization could be introduced. The Terrorism Community Protection Amendment Bill 2021 was tabled in Parliament on Tuesday. It established a voluntary case management scheme for people who are at risk of radicalizing towards violent extremism. The initiative will connect them with the services they need and help them reconnect with community. The bill also gives the courts the powers to impose conditions on persons identified as being radicalized. When it comes to violent extremism, early intervention is key. That's why we're introducing reforms to tackle the root cause of radicalization and help those at-risk people get their lives back on track. It will also extend the operation of the Terrorism Community Protection Act 2003 for a further 10 years, keeping in place vital counter-terrorism preventative and investigative powers due to expire on 1st of December 2021. Now, I was alerted to the existence of this bill by an unlikely source who opposes it, and that is Reason Party leader Fiona Patten. She gave a speech raising concerns against this bill. She said that this is concerning legislation. Certainly, I echo a number of points that Dr. Ratnam made in a contribution about this. So, two of the three stooges who are going to be supporting Dan's permanent pandemic laws do not like the powers in this bill. So this is refreshing. This kind of preemptive action does not work. It's not based on evidence, and I think it actually has a greater threat of further radicalizing people or further isolating people. And it is that isolation, that sense of exclusion from our community that tends to be the precursor for any form of radical extremism that leads to violence. I do support the need for terror legislation, and I certainly respect the recommendation of the expert panel on terrorism, but this kind of bracket creep we're again experiencing, particularly when it comes to children. So, refreshing speech there by Fiona Patten there. And like I said, I was made aware of the contents of this amendment when she was being interviewed by Tom Elliott on 3AW. And also, while a lot of us were distracted with the Victoria reopening, we had the head of ASIO, Mike Burgess, testify before a Senate estimates committee, where he says that ASIO now raises the alarm about single-issue violent extremism. So he cited anti-lockdown protests in Melbourne as an example. So this is what he said. There's been a lot of considerable and understandable attention given to nationalist and racist violent extremism. But we're also seeing a growth in single issue motivated groups and individuals who have the potential and motivation to embrace violence. We saw this, for example, in the recent anti-lockdown protests, where some have adopted violence as a tactic. Asia has been concerned about this for some time, and it's one of the key reasons I changed the terminology we use to describe categories of violent extremism. Most likely attack in Australia will be that of a lone actor, one who mobilizes violence with little or no warning. And it goes further down here. It can include white supremacist, nationalist, racist views, and also include involuntary celibate and people who don't believe in vaccination. There's a range. Green Senator Marine Freaky asked Mr. Burgess whether ASIO monitored public figures such as crossbench MP Craig Kelly, who have questioned the ecosphere's COVID-19 vaccines. We only monitor people who are involved in violent extremism. In this country, Australians are free to express any view as long as they're within the law. So there you go. ASIO, they're now monitoring people who protest for any issue at all, even if they're the single issue people there. So as I mentioned, it's important during this time when people think that their freedoms are being restored, that we have particularly in Victoria, the Dan Andrews government wanting more power, give themselves more power into the future. And well, we just saw at a federal level, ASIO, which has to justify its work, is now found more potential people to monitor as well, so they can keep getting their funding, and the national security state can keep going in its current form there. Well, it's coming to the end of the show now, so it's your last chance to send me a question or a super chat. I hope I summarized it, all the news of the week concisely as I could. Obviously, there was other what do we just say, non-political major news over the weekend, with the death of Melbourne TV entertainer Bert Newton at the age of 83. And we also had over in New York, Jordan DeGoey arrested for groping a woman on a dance floor on the vagina and in the buttocks, and is accused of assaulting her male friend. And I don't know much about this footballer, but he has a checkered past in terms of off-field behaviour, and he'll likely get the sack from the Collingwood Football Club. But yeah, busy news weekend in Melbourne, a non-COVID news weekend. And well, it's not over yet with the Melbourne Cup tomorrow, and obviously we had Halloween last night, which it's being embraced by Australians more and more each year, which I absolutely love. I love Halloween. You've seen my Halloween costume on previous years. I dress up as an old local witch. That's my signature costume there as well. So thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you on Thursday for Wilmsfront. And then on Friday for Trad Tasman Talk with Dewey De Boer, 6 p.m. Melbourne time. It's been going for 3 months now, the Auckland lockdown. So I'll see how he's coping there. And because New Zealand is, apart from China, is the last COVID zero or suppression holdout. So we'll see how he's doing then. Obviously in Victoria, it's been quite the switch. Dan locking us down for one case, and now releasing the lockdown. We've got thousands and thousands of cases per day. On Saturday, it was the last daily COVID press conference. They're just releasing the numbers in the morning, and then a media release later in the afternoon. So Jerome Weimar, the COVID commander, former public transport train operator here in Melbourne, gave the final COVID update. So the carnival is over. The show circus is over. The Daily Muppet Show in Victoria is now ended, as it has in New South Wales as well. So, well, at least we've got that. All right, take care, everyone. Enjoy your week, and I'll see you again Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Melbourne time on the Wilms Front channels. Good night, everybody.
Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.